Our next presenter is Todd Rogers. Todd is the Civil Administration for Walter P. Moore, based out of Houston, Texas. Todd is also the Augie Treasurer, member of the Augie Board of Directors, the Editor-in-Chief for Augie World Magazine, and also my close friend. His session is titled, Put Your InfraWorks Model into Motion with Twin Motion. Let's welcome Augie's very own Todd Rogers to the main stage.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. So let's get into it. As Eric introduced me already, a little bit more about myself. Got a couple of dogs, got a coonhound and a cur dog, got two boys and a stepson. I do own a women's football league. There's the wife there playing for the team I own here in Houston, which is the Houston Doom. I'm a avid Tennessee Volunteer football fan, as you can see. I'm originally from East Tennessee, hence the banjo. I got a heavy addiction to Harley Davidsons. I have 5 right now, so if you got one for sale, let me know. We might work something out. As Eric mentioned, I am on the board of directors for Augie and the editor-in-chief for Augie World.
Hey, Todd, frankly, we cannot see your screen, buddy.
You cannot see my screen. Interesting.
Way too much of you.
Wow. All right. Let's make sure that I'm sharing. I hit the share button, but apparently it didn't work. Let me know if this works. Does that work? Working now?
Much better.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. So yeah, there's the pictures I was talking about. Get that out of the way. All right. So we're moving on here, and we will not be going through PowerPoint. I am not a PowerPoint person. So I'm going to jump into the presentation right now. So I'm going to open up InfoWorks. And we'll be working with a existing model here I've got of my hometown in East Tennessee, Johnson City. And we're going to zoom into an area over here, and we're going to work with this area right here. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to draw a coverage area. And we'll put the coverage area in here as our parking lot. So we'll change that style here in a minute. And I'm just going to go right over that building because they're going to demo that building. Now with this, I want to make this clear. So I don't want a style on it. I want to get rid of that style so I can see the imagery there. And I also want to shape this terrain because I want this to be a flat surface. So I'll just bring it up there. Now we have a flat surface here. So now I can bring in my Revit model. Go here to my data sources. And actually, you know what I'm going to do with this? I'm going to make this a parking area with some dark concrete. So go ahead and make that concrete. All right, so let's connect our Revit model. And this is a data, not a data center, but it's analysis. I don't know, something like that. Like a small hospital, what have you. Only take just a second to come in. It's a pretty small model. So while that's connecting there, I do want to explain to you Twin Motion. I like to get to Twin Motion through the Epic Games launcher. So if you go download the Epic Games launcher, it will install that Epic Games launcher. And if you click on Unreal Engine, Twin Motion will be in there, and it will have all the versions available for download and installation. You can see it goes all the way back to 2019 when they were acquired by Epic Games. They used to be a French company, and Epic Games purchased them. And again, while that's running, we'll go ahead and launch Twinmotion while that's running. For those of you that have the AEC collection, you do have the ability to download this and run it for free. So keep that in mind. And we can go ahead and try to launch it again. You know, I had this issue a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if it has to do with this Epic Games launcher, but we can go ahead and fire that up. There it goes. It's firing up 2 of them. All right, perfect. And it is a resource hog, so I do definitely recommend running this on a fairly good machine. I use a gaming laptop, which is a HP Omen. It tends to run pretty good on this. I've had some issues with my work laptop, unfortunately. So let's close one of these. All right. Ah, nice. I closed both. The Revit model actually did not take this long the last time, so not sure what's going on there. So I do have Revit installed. Looks like it's trying to show up there. All right. We don't want to see that no more. I'm going to close that. Unfortunately, with the new versions of Twinmotion, they have this starting area here. I don't know why they started doing this, but they did. I don't like it, so I get rid of it. I just come in here and starting ground and delete it. And the starting landscape, delete it. And the starting base, delete it. So we just want a nice clean area there. All right. I actually had this set up already, but I wanted to go through the whole process for you guys so you'll see how this is done. There's a few things to keep in mind when coming into Twinmotion, and we'll go over those settings once we export this out. So what we'll be doing is we'll export this out as a FBX file. That's the best format to get into Twinmotion. Twinmotion also imports several other file formats. So one thing that we can do is I'll show you this. This is 3D Warehouse. It used to be Trimble. Now it's SketchUp, which I think Trimble owns now. Get out of the way. But you do have to have an account, you know, if you sign in. But there's thousands upon thousands of models that you can download for free. And I mean, you can really find anything you're looking for on here. Just for an example, let's put in a moonshine still. Well, looky there. We got moonshine still models for free. And these are, you know, 3D models. So you can look at that and make sure you do look at that. Let me go ahead and sign in here. Let's see. Hope I can remember my password, and I can't. Lovely. Okay. This. Awesome. There we go. It was one of the 5. All right. So if we look at the 3D preview, and you do want to do this before you download the model, because a lot of people like to cheat and it'll be a flat surface with an image on it. So make sure you go in here and rotate it and make sure that's a actual 3D model. All right. So you can actually, download the Collada or the SketchUp file. I find that actually downloading the SketchUp file works best. Now you can bring these into InfraWorks before you bring them into Twinmotion, or you can bring them directly into Twinmotion as a SketchUp file. Oh boy. Why are we taking so long for this? It's not a very big Revit model. This always happens, doesn't it? Day of demonstration. Perfect. Well, here's another thing we can do. Speed this up. Really would have liked to use that Revit model though. All right. We'll go ahead and kill it. Do this. We'll just use since I was talking about this, let's just go in here and use a building that we download. Will come in much faster. So let's look here. Looks cool. Check it. Make sure it is actually a 3D model. Okay, very good. It is. All right, let's download that SketchUp file. Here. Put it there. All right. So this will work much quicker. Over here to our area. Open our data sources, and it shows it being there, but didn't actually work. So what we'll do is we'll bring that in as a SketchUp file. We'll grab that. Right, much quicker. So we go in here to configure it. And this is actually going to be, it's usually city furniture when you bring in something like that. I'm going to leave this crazy coordinate system because I want to do interactive placing. So I'll do interactive placing and double click to place it. And then we have it. And I'm going to move this under the ground a little bit, like so. So it looks a little more realistic. Now, I'm sure that this building's a little bigger than what it's showing, so I'll make that bigger by grabbing this, bringing it up here like so. Move that back down. Like this. All right, I want to put some parking in here. All right, so I'll create parking area. my parking area is going to be this area. Let's go ahead and do a parking layout. Let's see. We go B and cycle through the different ways there. All right, so let's take this and bring it over here. And then do parking layout, this area. Okay, much better. We'll go ahead and press enter to accept that. And I'll just drag that out just a little bit. I just want to have some striping in there for the Twin Motion presentation. Now, we could put trees in here, but honestly, the trees, when they come over into Twin Motion, they're so cartoony, it just doesn't look very good. So we're going to bring this into Twin Motion now, and I want to show you a lot about Twin Motion. So we'll go to Present Share, and we're going to export the 3D model. We don't want to export the entire model. We'll uncheck that, and we will do a polygon. So I do want some of the water, though. So I'll make sure that that's included. So I'll double click. I do have a coordinate system. I highly recommend using a coordinate system when you're exporting out. The reason for that is 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to go back into InfoWorks to tweak something. It happens to me anyway, so we'll go ahead and export that. And back over in Twinmotion, we're going down here to import. And we're going to click this plus. I'm going to go open that FBX file. Oh, I remember where I put it, in the delete me folder. Oh, what is this? Oh, I'm on Point Cloud. Jeez. Make sure you're not on Point Cloud. All right, so here's the important setting, is this right here. You definitely want this to keep the hierarchy, okay? That's going to help. If you do collapse by material or collapse all, it's going to be terrible to work with. You definitely want to keep the hierarchy, okay? So when I import that, this is important as well. You can use the scene material, you can use the imported material. I always keep both. Okay, so I'll click OK. And it's pretty quick. It works pretty quick, even with gigantic large models. All right, so it shows up here in our list. So I can click this and I can zoom to the selection. All right, so here we go. Notice when I scroll, it's moving very slow. On your keypad, 1 through 6 will speed it up. 6 is super fast. So I will start with 4. You just hit the number 4 and you'll see it gets a little faster. Obviously, I need it a little faster. That's 5. And this is 6. Okay. But I promise you, when you get in here close, using 6, it's going to move extremely fast. So you'll want to go back down a little bit. So I'm going to hit 5, go back down a little bit. So let's focus on this building real quick. And you'll see that clicking something is a separate mesh. That's why that keep hierarchy is very important, okay? So all I want to do is I want to add glass to these windows. So it's very simple. You come over to materials, you can go to glass, and there's several different types of glass you can pick. There's reflective glass, there's blue glass, there's tinted glass, there's pink glass. Let's go with the dark tinted glass and just drag that over to the window. Now you can see those windows have that dark tinted glass to them. It's not very dark, so you can come over here and you can take this and you can change that color tint to a darker color. And you'll see there how it's getting darker in the background. Okay. Now we have some dark tinted glass in there. Now we can do different types of material on these buildings. So everything's pretty much a drag and drop onto here. But there's other ways of doing things too, which we'll cover. So I'm going to go back to my materials. Let's go to stone. I kind of like this stone look. Stacked stone looks cool. So I can drag that over here to this building facade. You'll see there we have that stone look now to this building. We can pick, say we go to, let's go to put some metal in here. Yes. Let's go like some galvanized. No, let's don't go galvanized. Let's go. We got aluminum swirls. There's a lot of new stuff. We got diamond plate, titanium, carbon fiber, types of sandblasted, corrugated. You can see some of these don't give you a preview. The reason being is you just hit that download button and it'll download it. But let's go back up here and let's just do like a brushed aluminum and put on this here, which is kind of cool looking. Now you can take that once you drag it on there, and if you scroll down here, you can change the scale of this stuff, right? So notice the scale of that material changes, right? Same with the building. I could have made those bricks larger or smaller. Let's go with like a black panel here for that. Looks kind of cool. And maybe some other type of material for this. Let's see what we got. You got wall coverings that sometimes I use on this type of stuff. So you can, like a rough cast coating, you could grab that. And again, you can make that scale, any scale you want. Make it large, make it small. And of course, you could change that color as well. You can come in here and make that I'm super colorblind, so if I say a color and it's not correct, that's the reason. Not very good with colors. But yeah, you can play around with that, make it darker. Yeah, super easy to do, dragging that in there like so and just throwing materials on it, okay? Now, we have different options as far as and notice the material that comes from InfoWorks it looks good when you're zoomed completely in, but when you zoom out, you can see all the tiles on it. So there we would want to do something like where's man-made? So that is library, materials. What is that? Oh, ground, man-made. So here we can do like different types of asphalts, different types of concretes, cobblestones, whatever you like there. I'm just going to use some asphalt. I'll take this one and drag it on. Again, you would have to adjust that scale. So you can bring that out. You can see this doesn't have that tiling like InfoWorks does. So I'd want to drag that over here as well. Onto here. Adjust that scale to match. Looks pretty good there. All right. So now, you can start throwing things in like vegetation, cars, people. And that's pretty much the same way. So let's go look at vegetation here. So let's look at some trees. Let's say you wanted to just randomize some trees. Well, in order to do that, you have to add a bunch of different trees, right? So if I click on one of these trees, actually, we're going to click on this populate button here. And we can do it by path or placement. So we can paint them on there or scatter them. So I want to paint them. And notice it says here, drop a model here to start painting it on the surface. Well, I can grab a few different types of trees. So I'd grab that tree. Let's go grab I don't know, red oak maybe. Let's grab another one, maybe a smaller tree like blackthorn. Let's grab that one. And you got your diameter. Notice I have this bubble here. That's my diameter. If I start painting it, it's going to paint it that width. So I can paint a larger area by increasing that bubble, or a very small area by decreasing it. Okay. So I am going to take and use it and just start painting it. Just drag it. Now I can go a little smaller and get right here between here. And again, I can come back over this way and make it a little larger. Again, paint this area like so. And let's go look over here. I'll decrease that a little bit. Paint right there. There. Make it a little smaller. And we can paint like in there. Pretty cool, huh? If you zoom in here, look at these. This is why you don't want to use an InfoWorks tree, because we all know what the trees look like in InfoWorks. Here you can see they're very detailed and they move according to the weather that you have set in your scene. So we'll look at different settings for that as well. You can speed up the wind. You can make it pretty windy. You can change wind direction, things like that. So, obviously you'd want to paint some grass in here too if you wanted to. The more you paint, the heavier your model will be. So if I went in here to like grass and flowers, you got several different types of grass that you can use. Some with weeds in it, which is pretty Texas looking. Um, you can add little flowers and can add some heather. So let's go look at some long grass here. That long grass, obviously, you got to populate that as well. So we can grab that long grass. Now, just to show you, we could grab that long grass and add some weeds to it if you wanted to, like some buttercups or daisies. Just add some daisies. And again, you get that diameter, but if I spread it like that, you'll see it populates that like so. All right. So if you notice, you got this erase button here. You can erase like this. You can just go erase just like that, and it goes away. You can go back to paint. And let's say we want to get rid of the daisies. Just delete that out of that list. Make sure that you just paint the grass on there. All right. So if you zoom in, you'll see that grass. And it even moves in the wind as well. See it just a little bit moving there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. So yeah, you can paint your whole area there. It's a little time consuming to do stuff like that. And for me, doing this, being in this industry for almost 33 years now, um, I have real bad carpal tunnel, and painting and stuff like that will wear your arm out, I promise you. So let's look at some vehicles and such. Let's say we wanted to animate a vehicle in here. So that's underpopulate as well, and that is a path. Okay, so we want to put a vehicle path. You can do a character path, you can do a bicycle vehicle, or do a custom. So let's do a vehicle. We're going to pretend we had that road enter into the parking lot. Um, just use your imagination. So what I want to do is I want to go down the middle of the street, and I'll show you why. Hit my 6 here. Okay. So I'm going to start in the middle of the street, and I'm going to start picking my points here. Go. And all these can be adjusted after you put them in there, so don't worry about that. And I want to turn into my parking lot. And I want to drive across the parking lot like an idiot. Come in here. Let's say we drive over this way. Looks good for now. Uh-oh. Yeah. Now you can see the cars moving along this path. Okay. Now you can take these, and once you click on this path, this is the reason I did the middle of the road. Now you wouldn't want to do this if you're coming into the parking lot. You would want to actually have it in the lane, right? But just to show you some of the settings here, you got your lane count. Okay. So I can go up to 2 as a lane count and make it two-way direction, right? So that's why I would go up the middle of the road. Um, that's a lane count of 2, so you'd want to make that 1, obviously. And there we go. Now, these guys are moving way too slow for me, bro. So you can do lane offsets. You can change the density. If you didn't want that many cars, you could move that down a little bit. It's and in here you can increase your speed. This is set to kilometers, so obviously you can go up here to your preferences and change your unit system to feet or inches or whatever you prefer. But it asks you to restart it, so we don't want to do that. All right. So that's vehicles. Let's look at now these things stay on, right? Now, when you create a video or a screenshot, which we'll get to here in a minute, that does not show up in the video or the screenshot. So keep that in mind, okay? Let's go back to 1 lane here. No 2-lane traffic. All right. So let's look at some people and some objects that we can place in the model. For one, let's look at, let me slow that down. Okay. Let's look at a fountain. Okay. Look at a fountain. Remember, we brought it into InfoWorks earlier. Now we're just going directly into Twinmotion. So I'll go ahead and download this as a SketchUp file. Fountain, save. All right. So here we'd go back to the import, whoops, and add, open, and where did I save that? Oops. There it is, fountain. Open that, import it. Now we'll go over to our list and we'll pick on it. And it usually puts it way out somewhere. So you got to look for your symbol, which will be mountain. Where is it? Now remember, this is water. We're going to fix that here in a minute. Where's my fountain? This is the only thing I don't like about placing objects in here, because it places them just wherever. And that's not it for sure. That's our grass. Let's delete that. Let's do this. Zoom to. There it is. Okay. That's not cool. Zoom to. Let's pick it again. There it is. Okay. Now, I want to show you some things with this gizmo. With this gizmo, you can move objects, all around like this. You can move them up and down. You can move them along this line here or this line. You can rotate them as such. Okay. You can type that numerical value in there. Now, this right here is a little bit different so like I said, you can move this around. If I move it around by using this, it's going to snap to the model. So if I zoom in here now, 6, notice when I grab this, it snaps to the model. Like it'll even snap to the side of that building. See there? So that's what happens when you grab that thing there. This just moves it around. This snaps it to the surface. Slow that back down. So you can see there we have a model now, or a fountain. Okay. So people and objects are the same. So we can go here and we can do characters. You have posed humans or animated humans. You also have groups. Okay. You also have animals. So we can come in here and we can add someone. Let's add Donato. And let's place him there. Now let's go look at Donato. Donato looks lost, doesn't he? So we can change a lot about Donato. You can click Donato and we can have him speaking to somebody. We can have him idle like he was, just looking around. We can have him sitting. So we can place him in a seat or a bench. We can have him lying down. Somebody just knocked his ass out. We can have him dancing. Poor Donato dances like a white boy. Special, which is feeding pigeons. Look at that. So notice things change down here too, right? If he's speaking, I can make him speaking to, which is a different type of speaking, or this speaking. Let's go idle. We have idle 2, we have idle 1, we have him drinking. Yeah. We have him phoning someone. We have him wandering around phoning. In sitting mode, we have a couple of different things. Him reading a book, reading a magazine. He's actually reading Augie World, by the way. And you can have him talking on the phone. Let's go look at lying. You have lying like this or lying like that. Again, we have the dancing like a white guy. We have him getting down now. And oh, he's really getting down now. So yeah, easy there, Hoss. Special, he's feeding pigeons. We can have him on a scooter. We can have him taking photographs, playing a piano. Look at that. It even adds the piano. Playing a video game. That would be me. We have disabled ones. So if you need to put something together with ADA stuff, you can have them in a wheelchair. And of course, a job. His job is to be a videographer, I guess. Have different types of walking. So walking 1, 2, 3, walking with a shopping bag, carrying some luggage, course, phoning again, playing the phone and texting. You can have him on lunch break. Not sure what that means, but yeah, lunch break 2, lunch break 3. Yeah, lots of different stuff. You can do random stuff. Again, this never made much sense to me why they would put a walking static mode. That's just weird. But yeah, they have it. So let's just have him speaking. Let's look at some objects here. If you go to the city, you have different types of benches. So, for example, if we wanted Donato to sit on a bench, let's bring a bench in here. So let's bring this bench in here. And we'll come over to Donato and we'll make him sitting. Oh, poor Donato. And again, we'll grab that and it'll snap to that and we can just rotate him around like so. So now Donato's sitting on the bench. So you can have him reading like so. That's pretty much my posture. Probably why I have back problems, but anyway. Yeah, lots of different objects that you can pick. You got decals, if you wanted to snap something to the pavement, you can snap different types of decals, striping, bikeway, charging station. So if I grab that charging station, put that and say, hey, we got a charging station here. Picking that will let you, adjust things about it. So there we can have a charging station. Different types of striping. You got manholes. That's always nice to put in. Just a little touch, little things that count, huh? That make the big difference, right? Little details like that. Put in a drain, that's pretty cool. There's a lot of custom stuff that you can bring in here and create your own library. Okay, so if you go online, there's people that create these models for twin motion, all kinds of stuff. People get really detailed, especially architects. Us civil guys, we're not as detailed as you all are. Our vision's a little different than yours. We're not as artistic per se. Um, but you can do stuff like put graffiti on the wall. Somebody just sprayed a freaking frog on my building, right? Um, different types of graffiti. You got hopscotch, you got puddles. You can put a puddle of water in here, right? That's pretty neat. You put stains, uh, put like mold on your building if you want. Dude, you need to pressure wash your building, bro. Looks horrible. But and it's very detailed. You can look there. It's pretty nasty. Just all kinds of stuff. It's really nice. Like I said, you could spend hours in this thing, doing different types of stuff. Um, let's look at some of the settings here. So here, if I click on this guy, we can set the time of day. That adjusts the sun. Notice if I go to darkness in the nighttime, notice that the vehicles, their lights will come on and their tail lights. So their headlights and their tail lights will come on. Maybe I'm not in dark enough here. Let's go. Not the right time of day. There we go. See there, their headlights come on. So we've got headlights and brake lights now. You can also change the time of year. You've got different type of perspectives to look at. Where is let me think of where this is. So, thought it was here at the time of day, but maybe it's not. One cool new feature that Twin Motion has added is you can do view sets. Basically, you can do construction phasing in here. It's pretty neat. If you get online and look on YouTube at phasing in Twin Motion, it's pretty neat. I was trying to find where to change the app, the weather, because you can make it rain. Now, when you make it rain, the cool thing about that is if you have a Civil 3D surface in InfoWorks that you brought in and you imported it into Twinmotion, it will actually show you where ponding areas are in the surface. It's pretty neat. Um, I didn't cover this. So we got different types of environments, right? We got cloudy, so you can make everything cloudy. So we go, gotta download it. So let's download it. Dun, 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 dun. It's pretty quick. All right. Once it's downloaded, just drag it in there. And I'm sure you guys can't hear my laptop, but the fan is like, so it's taxing my system for sure. This is pretty new here. A lot of people have created these in Twinmotion. There we go. Now we got a cloudy sky up there. And you would probably want to move, everything. You come here and select all and move everything up into the clouds. Let's see here. Where's my There it is. So if we move that up quite a bit. So we can throw a background in here as well. So we have what is that? Changed a lot of stuff here. Go to outdoor. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. You can add a lot of backgrounds, if you're in different places and things. And you also have um, landscapes that you can bring in there. Now, if you bring in a landscape, what that does, it'll allow you to shape the land, right? You can shape it. If you had something where you wanted to flatten something out or you wanted to create hills or such, you can do that by shaping this type of landscaping. So you also have, let me think of where that is. I believe that might be. So they changed a lot about, oh, it's ambiance. Here we go. Ambiance. You can put a backdrop, directional lighting. Here's your season that you can set. So let's look at some rain. So there's some rain. You'll see it does puddle up. You can change that rain to dry up. Da, 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 da. You can actually have it snowing. So it'll actually snow in the scene. All right. You can also do the time of year and notice like in the fall where all the trees fall off or all the leaves fall off the trees. You can have it like that. And it even, you know, some trees don't lose their leaves and it knows that. So that's pretty cool. A lot of details you can do here. Your precipitation, your wetness effect, the vegetation growth. You can show, if it's older trees or younger trees. Here's your wind, so you can change the speed of your wind. Notice the trees are swaying more. Again, you can change that direction. You can add fog if you wanted to. So you can have fog come across if you're building a graveyard or something, right? So pretty neat stuff. Your horizon, you can enable that and you can add a horizon Let's look at maybe we want mountains, right? Again, that has to be brought up as well. So you can rotate that. And let's go grab everything. And we can move it down. Let's keep going down. All right. And you can move those mountains, or you can move your model rather closer to those mountains where it would be a background, right? So you just have to adjust it to where your mountains are. There we go. So looks like I moved it way too far. Let's move it back a little bit. Like so. Guess I need to get rid of some of this fog, right? Oh boy. It's an ambiance. Let's get rid of the fog. There we go. Yeah. So now you can see the mountain scene behind us. You know, you can always adjust all this to your liking. You can rotate those mountains around to where there's like a little valley there, like so. All right. And looking at vehicles, you got several different vehicles. These are static vehicles, so you can bring these in here and place them like so. And when you place these vehicles in here, you can change their color. So if you go here to color, there's several different types of paint jobs. Don't know who would have an apple green car, but whatever. So there you'd have light blue. They're very detailed. You know, you can get reflections from them. All right. So those can be rotated and moved around as well. So if you needed to move it around, rotate it. It's a little easier to do that from there. You can rotate it. So again, we've got some new stuff in here where you can grab stuff from Megascans or Sketchfab or things like that. Now, one certain thing, if we go look at an object and we go to city and we want to put like a street light in here, right? So let's grab a street light and let's place this street light in here. Notice this street light actually has the light attached to it. They used to not, right? So what you would have to do is put a light in there, right? So if you go to light or library lights, here's your different type of lights, right? So notice that symbol's already there. So it's got light to it. Let's say that you place something, you wanted to put a landscaping light on your building. You could put that and then add this lighting to it so that it would look, to have that light effect, right? You also have water and stuff too that you can place in there, um, which is like moving water. Like so, where is my fountain? Let's go look at this fountain. Now it did have that water in SketchUp, but it's not moving water. So you could go into SketchUp and remove that water. Actually put water in here, right? So if we put water, let's look at it. See there, it looks like it's moving. And there's different types of waterfalls you can put in here and such. So keep that in mind as well. Going back over here where we actually did have that water was, where are we at? Guess it's on this side. Yep, that was my water right there. So we can add water. Oops. Library, materials. Where's water? Water. So you got different types of materials, and you can change these. It says pool and river. I've not seen a lake in Texas that looks anything like that. I'll tell you that right now. But if you put that water in there, notice it gets reflection to it. It moves. Like I said, this water does not look like that in Texas. So I can hit this here and click on that water, and you can change a lot of things about it. The translucency, the waves, the intensity of the waves, wave sizes, the flow direction, the wind gusts, and such. And here you go. You can change that. Again, I'm colorblind. That's probably more like a Texas colored lake. Nice and green, brown, whatever. But yeah, you can sit in this thing all day long, and there's so much to do in it. Now, to export, you have different things. You have images you can export, videos, you can do panoramas, you can do VR. You can export it out to VR. So, here, if we wanted to create a video, we could create that video. It's pretty easy to create the video. You got different settings where you can change, lighting effects and all that. Here you can create a sequence that would be like a construction sequence to show something under construction and how it progresses through the construction sequence. Again, you got panorama, you've got panorama set, you have a first person presentation you can do, phasing group, and of course the I believe that is for your VR, if I'm not mistaken. Lots of different ways, and then you hit your export, you can export it out. Like I said, architects are very intricate when it comes to things like this, and they will, change colors and lighting and all that. That can be done in here as if you were a photographer out there taking a photograph. So basically, that is it.